Welcome to the Uncanny Women Podcast, where we have honest, year-round conversations with women and gender-diverse authors and filmmakers in horror. Here, we explore the voices behind the work and how lived experience shapes the stories they tell. I'm your host, horror writer and founder of the SoCo Women in Horror Festival, KJ Brantley. Now let's step into today's conversation and meet our guest. This week, I'm joined by RJ Joseph, a Shirley Jackson and Stoker Award-nominated Texas-based writer, speaker, and editor. Her creative and academic work examines the intersections of race, gender, and class in the horror genre and popular culture. Her next short story collection, My Monsters Ain't Like Yours, will be released in summer 2026 by Quill and Crow Publishing. It's available for pre-order now, and while you're waiting, you will want to pick up Hell Hath No Sorrow, Like a Woman Haunted. Wow, that book. But before we get more into your books and you as an author, RJ, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, KJ. I'm super excited to chat with you.
I am as well. I've been so excited for this conversation and to finally get to talk to you, maybe not in person, but at least close to it now. Your short story collection, Hell Hath No Sorrow, Like Woman Haunted, came out in 2022 in paperback, correct? I think that's right, hopefully. I just finished reading it recently, and it is a masterpiece. Just like one of the best collections I've ever read. The use of the supernatural and cosmic horror elements honestly created a very realistic portrayal, I thought, of what it feels like to be a woman, especially, if you're a woman who has experienced trauma like systemic abuse by male partners, SA, childbirth, just being a mother, and the intensity and the cognitive load that falls largely on the mother at times. Or women, and ultimately it explores the Black female experience through horror, including themes of motherhood, slavery, relationships, and societal pressures. And, please feel free to fill in on any of that.
Oh, yeah, no, you're doing a perfect job.
Yeah, great. Yeah, perfect. Because, and I could see, those themes are just so well done and well explored, and just really the different stories. Like one of them that really stood out to me was the one with the poor young girl who is about to be, married off, and she has to carry or weather the spawn of something.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to read it. But I was just like, wow, it's just the emotional truth behind that, where it seems so outlandish, this it's supernatural elements and things like that. I don't want to give away too much because it's important part of the story, because you're like, whoa, that went there. But, if you've experienced things like that as a woman in life, it almost isn't that unbelievable. It feels like the emotional truth that I feel like you brought out in that. So how did this collection come to be for you? Are there many of these experiences based on realities like you yourself have had to face?
They are not just me, but the women around me. There are so many things and you stated it perfectly when you say that it seems outlandish, but when we start actually thinking about the parallels, we start to find so many more of those. And so, yeah, these women are, I mean, I think somewhere on the back cover copy it said something like, these are Black women that you know, like these are literally women that I know. And so just so that nobody would say, hey, you wrote all about me. It's unfortunate that so many of these experiences are endured by women in general, specifically Black women. And so, none of the people that I know can say, oh, you talked about me. Well, yeah, you and all the rest of us too, but that's fair, right?
Yeah. Yes, and yeah, I can see that. And obviously I can't begin to, I'm Indigenous and Hispanic and white, but coming from mostly raised, the white side of my family, with little ties to the culture even. So I cannot begin, I don't have that perspective as well on that additional truth, personally. So hearing these stories as well, about the Black female experience and what that speaks to, and what I think this is an important story collection for anyone to read to be able to understand different levels of suffering. Because I mean, I think it's bad enough to be a woman in any background in any time and place. I feel like that's a struggle. Any woman could read this book and relate to it in some way, I believe, or at least know someone who's been through something like that. I think is portrayed in your book. But out of all those stories in that collection, what do you think really this experience, would you say you're like, this is really what like a Black woman experiences more than anyone else? Like, if out of all of those stories, would you say you really felt was something that people either maybe needed to know about that lived experience, or you wanted women to feel like they were, heard or seen, I should say?
I hope that all of them, I hope that all the stories, invite a little bit of introspection from
Yes.
people, simply because they are like none of these events are monolithic, right?
Yeah.
But I do think that Left Hand Torment, the very first one, the one that you were talking about here, was simply because there are so many ways that women are forced into doing things, not just marriage. I realize that's a historical horror, which I really love playing in the historical playgrounds. But even today, there are women who are still being forced into marriage, being forced into childbirth when they don't want to do either. But one of the reasons why I think that this story speaks so much to a Black woman's experience is that there are times when you have to do whatever you have to do to become free. And there were dozens and dozens, hundreds even of these left-hand brides in the 1800s who were actually partnered with white men who could not marry them legally, but they were their left-hand wives. And so these women were able to often obtain freedom for their children that were born out of that union. They also were often deeded like property. And so for some Black women, for so many Black women, especially at that time, there was not any other way to get that done. Right. And so it was sort of a way of making, to be cliche, lemons out of lemonade. Like, if I must do this, then I can at least get, these deeds out of the situation. I can get my children and myself freed out of the situation. And there was always also the one little kernel of freedom, because the man could not be with them all the time. He would have to have a legal white wife who he could announce in public, claim their children. And so she kind of got this sort of a part-time situation that really worked out for her. I mean, depending on how you look at it. Yeah, so of course for Dominique, this was a whole different thing.
Right.
Which
Right.
I don't know any women, Black or otherwise, dealing with exactly that. But
Right. Right. Yes. Yeah, hopefully
thankfully,
not.
thankfully.
Yes.
But yeah, but I think that one really shows
Yeah.
a lot about the constraints that are placed by families and by society and by, mates, whether, you kind of want to or not. I think that is a bit of a widespread experience, I think.
That's something I never knew before, was about the left-hand wife. That's not a term I even heard before. And that's really interesting. And it's sad and meant much of the history is, but also interesting that that's how these women in the times are able to gain like a certain semblance of freedom and, protection in that society. You have a new collection coming out. My monsters ain't like yours. It's been several years, obviously, since Hell Hath No Sorrow has come out. What did you want to do differently with this collection? Like, how, obviously, I think you're still speaking on the female experience with this collection, but what's maybe changed since the time that you wrote the previous collection? And what themes are you exploring with this one that you maybe didn't touch on in the last one, or maybe there's crossover? I'd love to just hear from you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of crossover, because one of the things that I do very intentionally is to center experiences of Black women as well as I can. And so there is overlap in that way. I do think that in this one, I learned more to just lean in to that voice. As a writer, it took me a while to figure out what was my voice, what exactly was I trying to do. And I realized that the more constraints I tried to put on myself, the worse it came out. So I learned how to just let it be, let the story go into whatever it wants to be.
Yeah.
That it's not my job to censor that. It's my job to put glitter on it and make it pretty and shape it, and as
Yeah.
pretty as it can be for horror anyway.
Right.
So,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
did want to look more at monstrosity, how it's labeled as a part of my ongoing studies. I mean, of life, but I guess if I have to have a discipline, it is horror, the horror genre, and what makes a monster? Who gets to call the monster that the monster? How
Yeah.
does is the monster supposed to respond to that? What happens if the
Yeah.
monster actually gains some power? What if I like being the monster? I mean, like,
Yeah.
is there any way that this
There's so
actually
many
works out?
questions.
Yeah, right. So many questions. Um, and I really like the ironic title, right? Like that's the
Mhm.
title that came to me, and I thought that, but aren't monsters still scary? Well, sure, they're scary. They're very personal, but when we think about it, we all have monsters. We all have monsters. We all are doing this labeling in some kind of way. So I really wanted to focus more on that with this next collection, but there is a ton of overlap, not in the stories themselves, but in the situations, because I do explore monstrosity a lot. Like yeah, I'm that girl that totally wants to be the monster. I mean, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it. I'll do it. Yay, me, right?
It's like you seem like the nicest monster I've ever seen. So,
Right.
I need to see the monster side.
Yeah, well, that's how I get you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? You're that kind of monster.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Well, that sounds so exciting. I'm excited to see your perspective on it. And like I don't know your background on what you study. You said you like actually there something that you spend time studying? Are you a scholar?
I am a scholar. And so I've learned to lean in and call myself a horror scholar. Like I am a horror Blackademic. I claim it. I specifically study horror, but those intersections, because that's so important. I think that there are so many times that even when we talk about people from marginalized groups, there are so many groups that are still left out. Like I think we tend to think about ethnicity and race. Sometimes we may think about class. I don't think we think about class as often as we should. But there are other things like our gender expression, there's disability status, right? Like these are
Mhm.
things that I think are so, so important. And so I think I've sort of cobbled together this. I was talking to a really dear writer friend of mine the other day, Elle Marie Wood, and she's like, you're creating this whole thing like intersectional horror. And I'm going, I don't know if I've created it, but I definitely talk about it a lot.
Yeah. 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 You're bringing it to the forefront a lot more.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
sure. This is like way better than any traditional published book I've ever read. Like quality,
Oh, thank you.
just the story is just what I mean, it's on another level. So it's so interesting. I need to dive into it. I'm gonna look at all the intersectional horror that I
Yes.
can find from now on. Is there anything that you've written that you regret putting on the page?
No. Um, yeah, it can be kind of weird to do readings sometimes, and I'm just reading, but then I look up at the audience and they have these facial expressions of like, "Oh no," or like they're clutching their pearls, or they are,
Yeah.
literally like just, oh, or sometimes there's tears, and I go, "Oh no." But what did I mean, you want to
Yeah.
evoke a
Yeah.
response from your audience,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure that that's always the response that I want. Uh, but I'm happy that readers are touched. Like I haven't been stoned and thrown away just yet, um, which is great. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
I mean,
Uh,
what's the response that you are looking for or
Well,
that
it's just that thinking about, I think that sometimes I forget what that horror is supposed to make people uncomfortable, right?
right.
And so when you think about that at its core, it's not always about the jump scares. It's not always about the gore. It's about
Yeah.
the being at unease, being uncomfortable. And so I just had to learn how to sit with that, because there are times when, if a story is hitting the audience with that type of reaction, that is the message that needed to be given. I mean, there's sometimes when there are stories that are just they're just brutal and they just have to be told that way. So I think the response that I'm usually looking for, I don't know, like I surely don't want like the blank faces like my students give me in class, right? Like I don't want that.
No.
I think that maybe the expressions of being aghast are okay. I think that might be fine, but I think tears that sometimes when I go, oh no, didn't really mean to make you cry. I mean, but then I have to dig real deep and go, but didn't I? But
Yeah.
didn't
I mean,
I
if it's
want
not
to
making
touch you
you
that way?
cry, if some of these things are not making you cry, yeah, something it might be wrong with you. Or you
Exactly.
might have to look into yourself a little bit more
Well,
if these things
exactly,
don't affect
exactly.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, did
I
have
mean,
to learn that though because it was I mean, the first reading when it happened, I was like, "Wait
you're
a
like, "Oh,
oh
did I go
no,
too far?"
oh no." But
Oh,
I would be
yeah.
doing my characters a disservice
Yeah.
if I pulled back. I mean, every story doesn't require the same things, and so it's my job to give them what they need.
Yeah, and you go really hard. I do have to say that's like I think what some people would call like you're very metal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's really funny
Yeah.
because Brian Keene is one of my like all-time favorite writers of all time, like ever in life, right? Like I've been reading him since the very beginning. And the first time we met in person, he just kind of looks at me and goes, "Where have you been?" Like where I mean, he's got this look like you're an extreme horror writer. Like, I don't where did you come from? Where did you
Yeah.
And then he even coined my writing literary splatterpunk. And I decided
Yeah.
that that's a label that I will proudly wear, you know, because I'm Gen X. Like we are literally power to the people, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like it is, we are the punk generation.
Yeah, that is for sure.
I'm totally okay with that.
That's a great I see that because you're writing it's more than the writing, just I mean, your writing is flawless, your prose, it's beautiful, metaphoric and very literary.
Oh,
But
thank you.
it's also very yes, I would
Yes,
call this literary splatterpunk for
yes.
sure.
I love that.
In the right ways, like because I think that's where it does bring out the emotional truths because
Mhm.
when you're holding back, it's not in your face. Like it's kind of I have to not like look at Facebook too much anymore. I'm actually, my
Mhm.
husband, especially after I had my kids, I have two toddlers right now, but they're almost 2 and almost 3, a girl.
That's the fun age.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fun and also they're, like, crazy, but they're
Right.
hilarious and it's so cool to see them, "Oh, you're starting to, like, have full sentences out of nowhere." Like
Exactly. Oh, yes. Oh, good for you. I'm so
yeah.
excited for you. This will be
Thank you.
exciting.
Thank you. I know I'm really happy, but it was also like, I'd look at Facebook or social media and you see these awful stories. I mean, even today now I'll look at it, but I would see these just horrific stories of awful things that have happened to children or,
Mhm.
women or anything, or just violence, the violence out there.
Right.
I feel like when you hold back, it's like actually giving light to these truths, these real horrors that
Sure.
occur. And I think the only way to really bring out without like this is packaged in a way, obviously, like you're writing, you're like
Mhm.
packaging these different stories in a different way than just like a news article. Like it's something you can experience like the beauty of your writing, but it's a way, I mean, this is what horror is about, right? Is
Right. That's what it's
experiencing
about.
these emotional truths or horrors or lived experiences at a distance, but in a way that it still like affects you in the right way, like affects you in the way that it should. I don't know if that's making any sense
Yeah,
to
no,
you.
it's not.
Yeah.
We do want an impact. We want our readers to
Yeah.
feel something. I mean, so there's that. I just had to sit with that whole idea that I was causing the something.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with all it's the tears. It's when the tears come, I go, "Oh, no." Like, I had enough tears writing some of these, and I guess that was a response that's the response that they would evoke is the
Yeah.
tears. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I think if you're not bringing yourself to that level, like maybe you're not, as you mentioned, you're not writing what you're meant to, like letting it flow. If you're
Yeah.
holding yourself back, I read that about like Toni Morrison, one of my favorite and most devastating books of all time was Beloved.
Oh, yes, of
Oh
course.
my
Yes.
God, that was such a
Yeah.
hard book to read. I think I was just crying and depressed the whole time. Like I just like, but it was just also it just tore me apart. And Toni Morrison had said that about like when she was writing that. I saw that, she was also, she had to bring herself to this place of this mother who would have those choices that she'd had to make and all that. And you do have to do that as a writer when you're writing about these things. It's not like you separate yourself from it. You actually
Right.
give more to yourself from it. And yeah, I think that's definitely what it is reminiscent to me too of that book,
Oh,
like Beloved. And
nice.
yeah,
Yes. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah,
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
That is such
yeah,
high praise. It's
yeah.
one of my favorite books that I use a
Mhm.
lot of times in my academic and nonfiction work because I think it is
Yeah,
the one of the most perfect examples of someone having such limited agency, and the agency she does have is what leads to this whole is what helps to lead to this whole disastrous situation.
yeah.
But yeah, it's one of my favorites, but it is very uncomfortable, and I think that it did what it was supposed to do. Had it been any less, had it been anything different, then I don't think it would have had the impact that it did.
100%. You were absolutely right. And yeah, I am going to compare you to Toni Morrison because this is that like, I think you are going to,
I am going to die, and now I
you're
get to die happy.
that's
Thank you,
fair. Yeah, as
KJ.
long as I say
This
that.
is
And
very high praise.
well, I hope I'm, like one day I'll go back and be like, because I know you're going, if you don't win a Pulitzer one day,
Oh my
but, but I'm hoping you'll be like, yes, KJ one day told me.
yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. If I win a Pulitzer, I will totally give you a shout out. Hey.
Awesome. Feel. But yeah, it's just amazing. And are you a mother yourself, by the way? And if you don't want to
I
answer.
am. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I am. I have a whole bunch of kids. We'll have this huge blended family. And so I came in, we're like the Brady Bunch on steroids. Like I came in with 4 biological kids, and then my husband came in with like must be 7 biological kids. And so we have this huge blended family of 11 kids. And yes, oh my gosh, the youngest ones are just finishing up their first and second years in college. So
Oh,
they're grown-ups now. We have grandbabies running around. So we get to do the whole, toddler thing again, but like from a distance, right?
oh, that's beautiful. I know I'm like, you don't look like you have 11 grown kids. Uh,
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Thank you.
but that's amazing. And I'm sure, wow, you must have done a great job. And now you have like these amazing toddlers. I think that's so exciting to have
Yes, it is
that
really it's
full
exciting.
circle. And that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, my mom told me that it's totally different when you are the grandparent. Like she told me
Mhm.
this years ago, and I thought, you're just saying that because you spoil my kids and they're just rotten. And so then of course, when the
Yeah.
first grandbaby came along, I go, oh, I get it now. I
Yeah.
totally get it now. So, like, you get the responsibilities, you get the fun, but like, you don't have to make the decisions, right? Like,
Yep.
I'm a big proponent of let's call mommy, let's call daddy, let's see if
Mhm.
that's okay with them because Abuela's not getting into trouble for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's very respectful. I'm sure you'll have a nice, healthy, long relationship
Oh, yeah.
with
Yeah. No, you're the parent,
your
just back up.
kids. That's that's amazing. And I wonder, like, because you explore themes of motherhood a lot in at least
Oh.
this book, has anything like when you're writing these your stories, does anything come up like you have a memory of when your kids were young or anything like
Oh,
that where you're like,
quite often. Oh my gosh. So, Mama's Babies was a nightmare that I had years ago when my children were toddlers.
yeah,
It went pretty much the way the story goes. And I remember thinking, and when I woke up, I was in tears and I couldn't even think about the dream. Usually I can just kind of write them down and kind of mull on them for a little bit. But this one was so upsetting to me for years. For years. I
mhm,
didn't publish that story until they were well into their teenage years because and I had to sit with why that was. Mostly it was because as a mother, I've never felt so powerless. when you're responsible for these little beings, right? And
Mhm.
there's times when they drive you nuts. You just wanna I used to tell mine all the time that either they or I were gonna go with the rodeo when it left town. It's like, listen, I'm gonna somebody's gotta go with the rodeo, people. Oh, but even though you think that, and there are days like I'm not telling you anything you haven't already experienced with 2 toddlers, right?
Right.
So, when there are these ages and you sometimes you wanna run away, but you realize even if you were given the chance to do so,
Yeah.
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, you
Exactly.
wouldn't trade it for anything, so that one yeah, that story was it really made me think about and I don't remember if the kids I wanna say that they were young in elementary school schools are full of cooties, well, I don't know if I should say that, but they are.
I mean, they're,
Yeah,
yeah,
schools and
total
daycares.
germ factories.
Yes. Oh my gosh, they're worse than cruise ships, and so I wanna say that maybe one of the girls had come home with the sniffles, and my brain said to me, "I can't protect them. Oh my gosh, what if this is worse than the sniffles?" And it's something you kinda never get over.
Yeah.
So our oldest are 33 and
Mhm.
32 right now, and I still have those feelings of, "I can't protect you. You have your own kids now. I can only help support you." But this is a scary thing. And so that one probably reminds me most of when they were little because they were very we were all very together when they were small. I was housewife for several years and so I was the one who was at home with them while they were doing all these adventures and stuff.
Right, yeah, yeah. I relate to that so much too as well. That's one of my other favorite stories was Mama's Babies because I you do feel that way where you're like, I just have to get out. I'm too locked in, and especially like postpartum too, or if you remain a housewife.
Yes.
And then I guess God bless them, but sometimes just men don't naturally have sometimes I mean, it depends, but I think,
Sure.
at least in my experience, just the mother is just so much more of the like, I'm worried about this, like I'm checking
Mhm.
on my child's breathing all the time. And
Right. All the
oh my God.
time.
Yeah, like making sure they're still alive and like just like even where you're like, I need to go to the pharmacy now, and they're like, "Oh, you're fine." Like, or why are you doing that now? Like
Exactly.
I actually had a
Exactly.
recent experience where I was like, "I need to take him to the hospital." He's like, "No, you don't." Like, "You're
Right,
fine." And I'm
right.
like,
It's
"No, I
like,
really
"But
do."
yes, I do."
Yeah. Yeah, and I also like when you get away, you're right. Like if even if my kids turn into monsters, I would let them eat me. Like I
Exactly,
don't
like,
care.
we just or we're all gonna be monsters together. I
Yes,
mean, however the case,
yeah,
I'll be fine.
exactly.
We'll be
Speaking of the
together.
monsters again.
Exactly, be together.
Yeah, yeah, I love that one as well. Yeah, so diving back in, I wanted to ask, especially as a horror scholar, you probably have some even more interesting answers to this. But what does horror allow you to say that other genres don't?
Oh, wow. Well, it allows us to talk about what's in the dark. So other genres don't necessarily talk about what's in the darkness. I mean, I know that there are, dark romances, especially now, kind of in that whole horror romance space, but you still have to follow those tenets of a romance before anything else, right? And so horror kind of lets us go dig around in those shadows with permission. Like we are allowed to do that. But it also gives us an outlet to talk about the fears that the other people around us are probably experiencing also and so these are the ways that we can talk about the things that are not so great in society right now with putting up a little bit of a barrier. So when we put in those supernatural or other types of horrific elements that aren't quite, true to type, I think that it gives us a really good vehicle for exploring those things. And I think that people kind of expect it. Yeah, I think they kind of expect us to talk about scary things because we're the scary people.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and definitely, yeah, those not even like taboos, not even the right word anymore, but yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that's why we're all horror fans here and horror writers is, that's like what we like to delve in is the dark and those,
Yeah.
yeah, those hidden stories and
Sure. Well, and like you said, with the news, it's one thing to be terrified. I try not to watch the news myself. Nowadays, I just can't. It's just too much. It's a sensory overload. But every now and again, I hear something, it sparks my interest, and I realize that I can get away with writing about it in a way that it's not as obvious as the news, not quite as dry, but in a way that actually pays homage. Like I think one of the more recent stories I've had published was talking about here in Houston, we've had just so many bodies that have been found in this bayou here. And I've not seen nearly enough coverage of this as much as I would like to see. I'm like, what is going on here?
My
What is
goodness.
happening? Who's done this? Why did this happen? And so it does inform my storytelling a lot. And
Yeah.
so I wrote a story about forgotten girls, what this might look like. And so it does give us a really good chance to kind of combat the news, but then to also spread it in ways that to just shine a light on it. I think you said earlier,
Yeah.
which is probably the best way to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And because the news too can be so detached, it doesn't really,
Oh yeah.
bring to light like this is a person, these are like
Right.
people we're dealing with and they have a
Right.
story,
Right.
people that love them. Like it almost just, yeah, in a second later, you're on to like, oh, this like happy, fluffy story of like a
Right.
local ice cream shop or something, it's not
Exactly. And I'm still
really,
back there at the
yeah.
terrible story. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, wow, I actually have siblings that and grandparents that live just outside Houston.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and we're
Yeah.
all from Colorado. They just somehow ended up following my grandparents out there. They wanted to retire, and yeah, they live in the Conroe area. Um,
Oh, nice. Okay, so I work in the Conroe area. I live far
okay.
from the Conroe area, but I work there.
Oh, okay.
And I
That's
have a daughter at
amazing.
Sam Houston University, which is
Yeah.
just the next couple of towns over in Huntsville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
familiar with that. So yeah, first of all, I'll have to, say hi when I'm in the neck of the woods. So crazy that I did not know about the bayou situation. Like, is
Oh,
there a
yeah.
potential serial killer
I
or
mean,
what is
and
going on?
that's exactly it. Like, there's just not been much coverage at all. Like, I saw it a couple of times, I saw it on the news a couple of times, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is not solved. I know there's no answers. Are you seriously gonna are we just done? Are
Yeah,
we at are we at a brick wall? Like, do we need to think more about why there's so many cold cases anyway? Like, do we need to open up that can of worms?
yeah.
It really disturbed me that there was this thing happening and
Mhm.
there's such little information about it.
Jeez, I need to look into that more. I swear, there's so many times like I'm obsessed. I used to be like, I'm obsessed with crime shows, honestly, things like that.
Yes, yeah,
But
absolutely. Yeah,
I almost
same.
feel like there's a reason there's like internet sleuths and things like that too. And I'm like, sometimes I'm tempted to get like my like web up on
Yes,
the wall and stuff
right, right. Let's
to
go
be like, oh
see.
my gosh, these girl people, there's men, women missing all the time
Exactly.
and that aren't, yeah, like there's no attention. You're like, who's looking for them or who's
Right.
and yeah, and we don't consider this, in the movies, there's like a serial killer or something like this happening, and everyone's just like, oh my gosh, everyone's on high alert, like we have to catch this
Exactly.
person. But yeah, that is,
In
I
real
don't know.
life, not so much.
Yeah. What story is that? Where can I find that?
So that
When did
story is
you
called
publish?
Homegoing. And it is in the anthology that just dropped. I think it's Broken Bone Press. It's called Screams from the Bayou.
Okay.
And
The
so all
screen.
the stories, yeah, so all the stories are happen in or around the bayou, which I thought was a wonderful theme. I mean, of course, we're surrounded by them here.
Yep.
Um, but that's the first thing that I thought about when I was asked to write something for them. I was like, you know what? This is the story that I need to write for this.
Yeah. Yeah. And paying an homage, like you said, as well, like horror as a writer. That reminds me is like a lot of writing that I find myself wanting to do is somehow to change the story, I guess, or
Mhm.
just something that's happened that's horrific, almost like maybe if I write about it or write, I can almost change the outcome or
Oh,
get
yes.
revenge, like
Oh, of course.
for these
Yes.
people, or
Yes, isn't that why
yeah,
most of us, right? Like
yeah,
we get to enact justice if we want to, if we
yeah,
don't see that it happens the way that we like. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
I love
yeah,
that we can do that.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know that's my favorite thing. I know there's so many. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I have so many like stories of like awful revenge. Like people would be surprised, like seeing me. They're like, oh my God, the twisted things that I've seen
Right,
that I
right.
like.
That's why you have to
Yeah,
write them.
yes,
They're your
exactly.
stories.
Yeah, maybe I should do a whole anthology about that.
Yes, you should.
Yes, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's so I'm gonna have to read that story soon as well. And I like that. I think I'm speaking with Angela Sylvain soon, and she wrote Dead Spot,
Yes,
Stories
yes.
of Lost Girls. And yeah, I'm interested because I think that, that theme as well of like, yeah, lost girls and forgotten girls. And
Yeah.
yeah, but so I know we're kind of running up on our end of our conversation here. So I kind of would like to end on maybe a pass it forward sort of question of what is a horror book by a woman or underrepresented voice that you think our listeners need to read?
Oh my gosh, if nobody has read anything by Kenya Mostine,
Mm.
they are really missing out. When we talk about creepy, she wrote this creepy kid story. I'm sure she's written more than them because she terrifies me. I mean, just the sweetest person, just the most beautiful. And you don't think about the things that are going on inside her head.
Yeah.
But I read this novella here recently that she wrote, Progeny. And when I say that creepy kids, man, that's yeah, she did that. But she's a scary chick anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, the things that
I
come
would
out
say,
of her head.
yes, I mean anything that you pick up is gonna be really creepy. But Progeny really crept me out. And I was listening to it on audio. So I'm driving and it's like dark outside. And I'm like, oh no. If I see this kid with his backpack, it's gonna be problem.
Oh my gosh. You're like, I know this isn't real, but is this real? This
Oh
is
my gosh,
creepy.
yes, but I love her writing, and I do know
Mm,
that she plays in the indie and creative space a lot, and so I don't think that she gets nearly the spotlights that she should. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
her writing is just creepy. It's just creepy.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna pick that up, and I think everyone else should. And yeah, and that's one of the points as well of this podcast and our event is like at least there's so much great work out there that is just not getting the attention that it
Yeah,
deserves. And
and I
so
appreciate that you're doing this. Like, this is great. This is wonderful.
thank you, RJ. And I think you are also one of those people that I think you're actually getting a lot more attention, than I think I've seen your name everywhere
Oh,
lately.
well, that's good.
Um,
That's
yeah,
nice. I mean, because you
yeah,
always wonder, like,
yeah,
I'm doing this thing, and
yeah,
does it matter? Does it matter that I'm doing
yes,
this thing? So
yes,
that's good to
yes,
know. Thank
yes.
you.
Yes, absolutely. And it absolutely matters. And yeah, and I think you're, as I've mentioned today many times, is like if you're not reading your work, then you're greatly missing out. And so,
Thank you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate that,
yeah,
Casey.
absolutely. And thank you for that recommendation as well. I will check her writing out as well. And it's been an honor talking to you today.
Oh,
And
same. Thank you for inviting me.
thank you. And I will actually be at two events coming up that I'm thrilled to meet you in person at.
Oh,
That I
nice.
saw we're going to be at. Speaking of, you're doing so many events this year that I like have seen
Yeah.
or
Oh, good. Yes.
that I'm interested in. But I will be at like the Killer Reader weekend in Oregon, and I think
Oh,
that you
yay.
are
That's
coming
coming
up.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up really quickly. So yeah, if there's still a spot left, people are welcome to try it. And by the time we air this episode, it may be around the time of that event, but I'm looking forward to seeing you there. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll be at the Creepaway Camp here in Colorado.
I will be at Creepaway
Yeah.
Camp. It's so funny because I told my husband, you horror camp in Colorado. I mean, come on. I've been to horror camp up in the Northeast, but I've not been to horror camp in Colorado. That's a whole different thing.
Oh yeah. I know. It's like I wonder what's gonna happen. It's gonna
Yes, I wonder. I'm
scary
so excited
scary.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing creepier than that.
You're right.
Like in the middle of the woods in Colorado. But
Exactly.
Yeah, but I am so excited for that. You'll be there, and many other authors will be there. Of course, Rachel Harrison, C.J. Lead, and
Yeah.
Nat Cassidy. Like, there's a long list of people to tell creepy ghost stories. And are you going to come up with your own ghost story for this event?
I'm pretty sure I will. I'm always coming up to these things and I go, you know what? You should just write something brand new. That's what
Yeah.
you should do.
Yeah.
And if the story is there, then there we go. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be writing something.
Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to be there to see that because especially I'm going to be terrified. I know after reading your work, like it's in scare. I probably won't be able to sleep. Like
Right. We're going to be pulling a lot of all-nighters, right?
yeah,
Well,
for
that's what you
sure.
do. That's what you do at camp.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, you never
Right.
um, yeah, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, Creepaway Camp. I'm sure you'll be able to hopefully still get a ticket as well, everyone out there listening, and you'll get a chance to hear a ghost story from RJ Joseph. So don't miss out on that if you're able to make it out to Colorado at the end of June this year, 2026. And I also, Creepaway Camp, by the way, was our 2026 SoCo Women in Horror Fest presenting sponsor. So that's why we'll be there as well. Yeah. So it's pretty exciting. Just throw that in there for y'all. But so be sure as well to pre-order Our Monsters Ain't Like Yours and pick up Hell Hath No Sorrow, Like a Woman Haunted. And is there anything else as well, RJ, any news or anything else you'd like to share before we have to say our goodbyes?
Well, thank you so much again, KJ, for having me. This has been really exciting, and I'm just super excited that you're doing this. This is great. We have to lean in to our gifts, and I'm really excited to see that you are leaning into yours.
Thank you so much. And yeah, well, you're such a positive, amazing woman. I'm so glad I was able to meet with you today and actually talk with you. And it's been the highlight of my day already. So thank you
Yes,
so
me
much.
too. Yes, this is wonderful.
That's all for today's episode of Uncanny Women. If you enjoyed this conversation, subscribe to catch our weekly episodes. You can also follow us at Uncanny Women Podcast and at Women in Horror Festival Co. See you next time.